Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I have a really fun stamp set to show you. This was part of the STAMPtember release from Simon Says Stamps in coordination with Art Impressions. So these stamp sets do sell out quickly. If you did get one, I have this idea here for you. If not, you can use this design and this scene for many other of your stamp images. So let's go ahead and get started with our card today. This is the stamp set we'll be using today. It's from Art Impressions and Simon Says Stamps, and it's called Coolest Friend. And I love that you get all of these cute little sentiments as well as some snowflakes. For paper today, we're using the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock. And for ink, I'm using the VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This is a permanent ink, and I've placed it in my Mini Misty stamp positioner. Gone ahead and inked that up. And now we can start some coloring here. So I'm going to list those marker colors up in the upper left-hand corner. And this is the dull blue that I'm starting with. I'm going to also be using my blender pen, and these are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, which I've used in many videos. So if you really like the look of these, check out some of my other videos. And I know a lot of people say, they don't necessarily get the coloring or the blending sometimes that they're looking for, but I would suggest getting the blender pen because I really think it makes this a lot easier. You can also use a water brush here, but the blender pen has just the right amount of fluid in it to make the blending very simple. And also be careful what paper you're using. I personally find that the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock does work the best for me. And again, when you're using your blender pen, you want to make sure that you clean it off between colors. And to do that, you just scribble it on some scrap paper until it goes clear, and then you'll know that it's clean. And if you do decide to use a water brush, you just want to make sure you just don't have too much water, especially when you're coloring in these little tiny areas. So just make sure you blot it off on a paper towel before you get started, and make sure that the water brush has just the right amount of water in it. So it does take a little practice, even with these markers. I would suggest just, practice coloring in some images. And when I say practice, I mean just have fun. Just color in things. And by the way, I'm using oatmeal and mid-brown to do the boots here. So yeah, just enjoy the process, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And I like to add the white gel pen at the end, which you will see me do again today. And that just gives a little highlight. Even if your shading wasn't perfect, you can add a little highlight that way, and you'll still feel good about your coloring. Now I'm using those same two colors to do the jacket as well. So while I'm coloring that, I'll tell you what some of the sentiments in this set say, which are really cute and coordinate really well with this set. One says, "Love never melts. Have an ice day. Chillin' with the cool kids." I love that. "To the coolest person I know. To my coolest friend. Live like there's snow tomorrow. You're the coolest. And there's no one like you." And that's the one we're going to be using today because I think the font on this one is just so pretty. So you'll see that at the end as well. And then you do get a large snowflake, a small one, and then like 3 snowflakes together. So it's really cute and fun. I just love this little snowman here. So again, I'm just adding the shadowing where it would be the darkest. And another good thing to do is you can follow the packaging that comes along with these stamped images. Art Impressions just does a beautiful job giving you ideas of how to color these in and how to shade things. So you can always just put this packaging right in front of you and just copy that. I mean, it doesn't have to be in different colors. You can go with what they've already created, and it's going to be beautiful. So here on the jacket, I did keep the shadows kind of up underneath the scarf and along the sleeve there. And then I'm adding a little bit down at the bottom of the jacket here, just for a little shadow there. I'm just going to do all the buttons in the darker brown and add a little shadow in that little fold. Now I'm using Sugared Almond Pink and Pink to do the little hat here. So I'm using the pink shades. I wanted to create a pink sky. I don't know. I had that in my head that I wanted a pink sky. So I'm kind of making all of the images sort of coordinate with that end result that I'm trying to go for here. So I'm adding this pink onto the sweater as well. There's these little diamond patterns on the sweater. So I'm just going to add a little touch of that. And then I'm going to add that darker pink, which I'm doing now, and I'm going to just pull that in towards the center on that band on the sweater, and then just kind of pull it up on each of these little diamond shapes. So just kind of giving it a little bit of a shadow on each of those little patterns. Now I'm using gray here just to add a little shadow to the fur on the hat there. And I had gotten some pink on that band, so you can see what I'm doing is grabbing the color and scribbling it on the scrap paper. So I just keep pulling it off the cardstock until I remove it all. You could also use a water brush here. You just dab it with a little bit of water, and then when I'm using a water brush, what I'll do is take a little piece of paper towel and blot up that color. So it's really kind of like using an eraser. So just keep at it until you get rid of that color, and it's really easy to do. So again, I'm using that same gray just to do the sweater here and adding a few little shadows here and there. And the other nice thing about referring to the little packaging that you get with the stamp set is it gives you an idea of where everything is, because here I wasn't exactly sure what I was coloring, and then once I looked at the packaging I saw that her arm goes around him there. So the packaging does help sometimes when you're not exactly sure what to color. And here I want to leave a little highlight in the center of the boot there. And see there, her sweater extends all the way up. I thought that might have been a bracelet, but it is the sweater. So I continued coloring that little part of her sweater there at the top. So now for the hat, I'm going to add the shading just to both sides here and then pull in towards the middle. And with some of these darker colors, I usually start with a lighter hand, a little lighter touch, and then I can always come back in with more color. I'm using olive green and mid green to do the little holly berry and leaves on the hat. And then I put a little bit of that dark pink, the pink on the berries and then on the band as well. And then I went back to the sugared almond pink and the pink to do this scarf here. I'm mostly going to keep it the light pink, and then I'm going to just go back over it with that same color to add some shadowing. So that's another thing you can do as well. You don't have to have two colors. With the zigs, it's really easy just to add shadowing by adding a little bit more of that same color and then blending that in. Now a little bit of sugared almond pink to the cheeks, and then I'm going to use the flesh color to do the face and the hands. I'm adding a little pink to the snowman's cheeks as well. And then with the haze blue, which is a really pretty kind of icy blue, I'm just going to add a little shadow here on the snowman just to make it look a little bit more like snow. And then with yellow and oatmeal, I'm going to do the hair. Just a little yellow and then the oatmeal for a little shadowing there up under the hat. And then I'm using light blue to do the eyeglasses, just to add a little reflection there. And bright yellow on the carrot nose. Now I've grabbed my detail scissors and I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and I'm going to leave a little white border all the way around. So I'll finish cutting this out off camera, but let me give you a closer look at it here now that it's all finished. And I just think these are so adorable. Now I'm going to take another new release from Art Impressions called the Animal Nativity set. I've stamped that on some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm coloring in with oatmeal and mid brown. Now this set I did do a card on recently. It's called the Animal Nativity card. So you can check that out on my blog or on the Art Impressions blog as well. And there is a video for that as well. So these little critters from that Animal Nativity set I think are just going to be fun for so many different projects. They're just so cute. So it doesn't have to just be for the nativity. I'm going to try to think of other ways that I can use these as well. So today I decided to grab this little one here, this little bunny. And these are fun to color in as well. And I'm going to keep the tail the lightest. So I'm just going to add a little tiny bit of a shadow up here at the top and just pull that down. Now I'll attach the coordinating die with a little bit of purple tape, and I'm going to run that through my Sizzix Sidekick machine. Now I want these three little birds here on this set. This is Art Impressions as well. And I want the three little birds from the HM Garden set. And I'm going to stamp all three of those again on the Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. And again I'm going to attach the coordinating dies, run those through my Sizzix Sidekick. And now for coloring these, I'm using wine red and sugared almond pink. And I kind of want to give them a little bit of the look of cardinals, even though I know they're not, but I just want to give the illusion of that. So I'm just kind of pulling, and I did want to keep in the theme of the pink colors that we're going with. So I did introduce that wine red just to give a little bit more of a reddish tone to these, but not too much. And I'm just going to color those in. Now another new set are the Christmas mini dies from Art Impressions. And I'm going to grab this little tree. Now I want to show you a really easy way to color in these types of images if you have a lot of them to color in. And I want to do about 7 or 8 of these today. So I'm going to mask off the bottom of this paper. I'm using crushed olive and Forest Moss Distress Oxide inks. And I've masked off the paper with some purple tape. So about 1/4 inch of the bottom of the paper here. So what I want to do is just do this really quick coloring. Rather than color each individual tree with my zigs, I'm just going to try to speed up the process here. I'm adding a little bit of a shadow here with the Forest Moss. So with the lighter green, I applied that color all over, and then just down towards the bottom here, I'm going to apply that darker color. Then I'm going to go blend that whole thing out. Now I'm going to dry that off. I want to wipe off the purple tape here so we can use it again. And then I'm going to dry off this panel with my heat tool. And then I can stick this back up on the top part here. I'm going to mask off the top, just leaving a little sliver of that showing, just so I don't have a gap between the colors. And now I'm using ground espresso Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to just color the bottom, and that'll be for the trunk of the tree. So I don't know, I just find this really easy to do. You could certainly just color them with your markers, but I just wanted to speed this up a little bit. And now I'm going to clean that tape off too so I can use it again later. So now all I have to do is line up these dies right along that dark border there. So I get the trunk will be brown and the tree will be green. And it just makes it really easy to run all these through. So I'm just going to run all of these through the Sizzix Sidekick machine. And again, I need about 7 or 8 for the card. So you can see how quick that goes, really easy to do. And then you're left with kind of a neat looking border as well. So now I have the fence dies. I'm going to take that one there, and these are the Art Impressions watercolor fence dies. And I'm using my oatmeal, and I really am just scribbling on this color and just blending it out a little bit. I kind of want the fence to look really old, just kind of antiquing it a little bit here, not being fussy at all. Just kind of blending that color in wherever it blends. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other one. Now I'm taking the largest die from the rectangle A2 double stitch die set, and I'm going to die cut that twice from some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. And you see that leaves that beautiful stitched border all the way around. Now for this panel here, I'm going to go ahead and cut this. I'm going to cut it at 3 1/4 inches. So that'll give me two panels, one a little bit bigger than the other. And then I'm going to tear this off for the snow. Now you want to tear away from you, then towards you, and away from you and towards you. And that's going to give you that beautiful kind of ruffled edge there, which really does look like a snowbank. Now I'm using my tumbled glass Distress Oxide ink to create a little bit of a shadow here on the snow. So I'm just going to create that little bit of shadow. And then I did decide on this front panel that I wanted a little more shadowing down at the bottom as well, because that's where my little bird and my little bunny are going to be standing. So I want there to be a little bit of a shadow there. So that's how those two will stack together. Now with spun sugar and picked raspberry Distress Oxide inks, I'm going to go ahead and color in the sky. So I'm using the spun sugar all over. So I just applied an even coating of that all over this panel. Now I want to figure about where my sky is going to begin. So I'm going to take that picked raspberry and I'm just going to apply a nice dark layer of that right along where the snow meets the sky. And then I'm going to start blending that out. And I just want to pull that color up towards the top. And then going back to the spun sugar, I'm going to blend that a little bit more. Now I'm taking the picked raspberry, putting a little bit on my glass media mat. I'm going to spritz that with my Distress sprayer, which just has water in it. And then I'm going to just take a regular brush here, like a mid-sized brush, and I'm just going to spatter this. This is just going to give us a lot of texture. But I also want to come in with some white spatter as well. So I'm going to go ahead and heat set this quickly just to make sure it's dry. And then I'm coming in with some white gesso. And I'm going to, again, put some on my glass media mat, spritz that with some water until I get a little bit of a thinner consistency here, but not too thin. I want it to have a little texture to it. And then I'm going to spatter this panel as well. And that's going to look like these beautiful snowflakes. Now I'm going to heat set that as well. And then I'm going to grab the sentiment. And that's the sentiment I mentioned before that says, "There's no one like you." So I've gone ahead and placed this in my mini MISTI, and I'm going to stamp that. Now using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, I'm going to attach these together. So I have a standard A2 size card which measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to apply some glue all along the back of this panel and attach these together. And this will be an A2 top folding card. So once that's all set, I can add my snowy layers here. Again, I'm applying glue to the back of this panel, and I'm leaving the top, no glue at the top there, just so I can slide a few of those trees in there a little bit later on. And I'm going to do the same thing for this piece here. Now I'm going to attach these little fence posts here, and I'm going to just slide those right in behind that first snowbank. And it doesn't matter that they overlap in the middle because that's not going to show. So I just want to line them up with the side of the card. And for this one here, I'm just going to cut off that little tab there. Now I'm going to add my trees, and I'm going to tuck, like I said, I'm going to tuck a few of those in the back here, and I'll put a few in the front as well. So in the end, it looks like I used 7 of the little trees here, but you could certainly add as many as you like. So now for my main focal point, I'm going to go ahead and cut some Scotch foam mounting tape. And I know I've said this before, I'm a little bit frugal with my tape, so I like to cut it into some smaller chunks. That way I can get it to stretch a little bit further. I'm removing the backing, and I'm just going to attach that to my card, kind of off to the left here a little bit. And I do want to leave room down at the bottom for my little bunny and my little bird. So I was thinking the image of the snowman and the friend, I wanted to kind of recreate that down here with these two little guys. The little bird and the bunny are friends as well. So I added those down here in the corner. They're kind of like looking at each other and chatting, I guess. And so then I'm going to add this little bird on the top of that fence, and then I'm going to add the one that's flying up next to the sentiment. So that'll kind of draw your eye from the bird on the bottom right to the left back up to the top. Now here I'm going to come in, as I said before, with that Uniball Signal white gel pen, and I'm going to add my highlights. So again, this is a great way just to kind of bring those highlights where you want them to be, even if your coloring wasn't perfect. And this is always fun to do. I love when I'm doing this because I know the card is pretty well complete. So I continued adding my highlights, and then I decided to add some polka dots here to the scarf and a few little highlights on those little diamond shapes on the sweater as well. And then rather than spatter the card, because I thought it'd be too messy since the card is just about done, I'm going to add some little snowflakes to those trees in the background just to make it look like the snow continues on there. So let me give you a closer look at the card. You can see that beautiful pink sky that we have, which was kind of the inspiration for the entire card. And we've got our cute little friends, our critter friends as well. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. As always, thank you so much for joining me today, and have a great day. Bye-bye.